Hello, my beautiful watchers. Do you happen to notice anything different about me? That's right, I've had a haircut. For those of you who don't follow me on Facebook and Twitter, so don't know every detail of my life, I got lasers shined into my eyes and now I don't need glasses anymore. Huzzah! I thought I'd do a quick video about it, partly to justify why there was such a large gap between episodes of Lost in Adaptation, and partly just in case any of you were considering having it done and want to know what it's like. I can review real-life experiences, there's no rule against it. Pretty sure there's no rule against it. I just want to say right off the bat that obviously I don't have any medical training, so even though the surgeon explained it all to me very, very clearly, it all just kind of went shh. So if you want to know the science behind it, you're going to have to research that independently, because I'm just going to be talking about what it was like getting it, my own personal experience, you know? Oh, before we get started, do you like the shirt? The beard came out a bit more red than I was expecting. Must be something to do with the printing process, but that's actually kind of grown on me. It makes me look fierce, you know? Anyway, I suppose the short answer to what laser eye surgery is like is it's not cheap, it's not pleasant, but it is very, very effective. When I first started looking into it, I was determined to research the hell out of it so I could get it done by, like, the best of the best, because, you know, come on, it's your eyesight, you really don't want to fuck around with that. That actually turned out to be much easier than I expected. There's several websites that are designed for exactly this purpose. They work like search engines. You put your address into it, and it brings you the information from all the clinics and companies in the surrounding area that have the highest success rates and the best independent reviews. Then if you're interested, it can also send your details to all these people, letting them know you're looking into it, so they can send you some preliminary information, so pamphlets and shit. So yeah, getting started was actually surprisingly simple. The first couple of meetings I had with them were mostly them checking my eyes to make sure I was eligible for it, and also them trying to explain what my options were and how most of it worked. One thing I had to prove to them was that my prescription had been stable for at least 2 years. This wasn't an arbitrary rule. The surgery can correct your eyes, but if your prescription is steadily getting worse and worse, it will keep on doing that afterwards, so there'd be really no point having it done. They explained to me that I had two options at this time. I could get Lasik or Lasek, which, yeah, I really feel they could have named those better. Lasik is the one I went for in the end. Technically it's the more dangerous of the two, but I'll explain about the risks in a minute. What they do with that is they laser a tiny little cut in your eye, and as that's healing, it corrects your vision. I'm not entirely sure how that worked, but it did. People sometimes get this mixed up with cataract surgery, which is where they scrape shit off your eye using a laser. What I had was much less invasive than that. One of the biggest advantages of it, though, is that the recovery time is insanely fast. Like, a couple of hours for the worst of it, then you got to take it easy for a week, and then within a month you're absolutely fine. I mean, I'm 2 weeks in, and I'm mostly back to normal. Lasik, the other option, is apparently even less invasive, so much so it's not even technically classed as surgery. Honestly though, it actually sounded much worse to me, as it involved them sticking like a ring around my eyeball while they were working on it, or something. I can't really remember the details, but it sounded in principle more intimidating than the Lasik. What really put me off this option was, again, it was the recovery time. Even though Lasik is much safer, it's apparently a lot more painful, and the recovery time takes much, much longer. I would have had really sore eyes for at least a month. Like, it's a month where I couldn't do shit. According to the optician who was laying out all these options for me, most people go the way I do and go with the Lasik. The questions I've been asked the most since having it done are, how much did it cost, was it painful, and what were the risks involved? It was originally quoted to me at £3,300, but they were willing to knock £500 off it if I had the operation done in September. I'm not entirely sure why. I guess that must have been like a lull period for them. There were cheaper options out there. There were some companies that were offering to do it for a lot less, but like I said, this is my fucking eyes we're talking about. I wasn't even willing to settle for second best to have it done. There's a lot of beauty in the world, and I wasn't willing to not be able to see it for the rest of my life. I'm not entirely sure how much this translates to in other currencies, so I will just throw it up on the screen now. The price was exactly the same for both Lasik and Lasek, which apparently they did on purpose because they didn't want to be accused of trying to coerce people into choosing one or the other to save money, or they didn't want to imply that one was better than the other because it was more expensive. They just wanted me to pick the one that I felt was right for me. See, that's the kind of thing I recommend looking for when you're shopping around looking for places to have it done, that sort of mentality. because I thought that was pretty cool. In regards to the danger involved, obviously this was something I was really concerned about, at least at first, but I really calmed down once I saw the actual figures involved, because they gave me something like a 98% chance of everything going so perfectly, I'd come away with like supervision, and most of the remaining 2% was just that they wouldn't quite get me to 20/20 vision. They'd just get it good enough that I could drive without glasses. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe the chances of there being any long-term consequences or anything going wrong was something ridiculous, like 0.01%, but because this was elective surgery and it was being done privately, they apparently, by law, had to provide me with a list of everything that could conceivably go wrong with it, and then they had to get me to read through it like 3 times with a witness there, and then sign it in blood. It was pretty crazy. In fact, I think I have the document. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. It's a double-sided document. I think I spilled something on it at one point. It's a double-sided document in the tiniest font imaginable, and it's got everything in the world on it. I think there's a section in the middle somewhere about what would happen if I got hit by a meteorite while I was having the surgery done. It's ridiculous. I mean, like, everything on here, the chances of any of it happening to someone in my age range is so small, it's virtually non-existent, but they had to get me to read through it again and again to make sure I was entirely clear on every conceivable risk, and I'm not gonna lie, that was immensely unsettling. Now, obviously, if I'd gone for the Lasik instead of the Lasik, that would have been a smaller document, but for the reasons I stated earlier, I stand by my choice. One thing they were always really intense about was that I always had to bring someone with me to drive me to and from the place, not just for the surgery, for the early tests as well. This was because at one point they had to drip this shit in my eyes that dilated my pupils really big so they could get a look at them, and I mean, I couldn't get a very good picture of it because it really hurt to try and focus on the camera, but I'm pretty sure I looked like Puss in Boots when he was trying to manipulate someone. That shit was actually pretty crazy because it meant I couldn't focus on anything close to me. I could only see things off in the distance, and they made me hypersensitive to light. So I mean, I was wearing my Reginald sunglasses, the really big ones with the blinders on the side, and it was an overcast day, but I was still stumbling around looking like a right weirdo. Now, the surgery itself, I think I'm just going to describe it and let you decide for yourself. They scheduled it for about 1 o'clock, which is good because I am not a morning person at all, and that would have just added a whole level of stress to it. My dearest mother drove all the way to Derby so she could look after me afterwards and drive me to and from the place, so that was nice. Some of you may have seen the last ever glasses selfie I posted on the way in. By the way, I know that those of you who responded by telling me how good I look with the glasses on probably meant well, but that really wasn't the kind of thing I wanted to hear while I was about to undergo surgery to get rid of them. That really didn't lighten up my day at all. Just think about the consequences of your words. That's all I ask. The first thing you should know about LASIK surgery is that it's very, very fast. I mean, the whole thing was over in about 15 minutes. They brought me into the room and I did the ceremonial taking off of my glasses for the last time, and then I lay down on the sort of bench table thing. They dropped a powerful anesthetic in my eyes, which numbed them completely. Made me go blind for about a second, but then my vision came back. One of the things I was really worried about was how they were going to keep my eyes still during the lasering, because I thought maybe they were going to paralyze them, and that was going to be really disturbing, or worse, it was going to be up to me to make sure I kept my eyes focused on a single point and not move them, because if that was the case, I was fucked, because I don't have any discipline when it comes to that. I mean, 5 seconds into the surgery, I would have heard a slight noise over to my left and been like, what? Laser in the brain. But apparently, I was worried for nothing, because it doesn't matter for shit what you do with your eyes during. I don't know if the nurse was making this up to make me feel better, but what she said was, the computer can lock onto my pupil and then track it as they go along. I don't know if that means the laser was tracking as well, or if they were just lasering a part of my eye that wasn't moving. But yeah, I could have looked around all I wanted and it wouldn't have made a damn difference. So anyway, I'm lying on the table bench thing, which wasn't that uncomfortable, to be honest, and then they wheeled me underneath the equipment, and this is where it started to get really unpleasant, because they had to jam this thing onto my right eye, which I didn't get a good look at, but felt for all the world like an unholy combination of a monocle and a vacuum cleaner. I'm assuming this was to make sure my eye stayed 100% open and stop them from watering too much. Then they lowered the big-ass laser right onto my face, and I mean, yeah, LASIK does not involve any pansy little laser pens. No, this shit was fucking massive. I mean, ramp that bad boy up to full power and Goldfinger would have wanted to use it, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm lying there, pinned underneath this doomsday device with this satanical monocle suckling on my eyeball, and the surgeon leaned over me to make sure everything was in place, and the very last thing I noticed before they began was the surgeon was wearing glasses. So anyway, they turned the laser on, and my right eye instantly went completely dark. I couldn't see shit out of the eye they were operating on. That was another thing people kept asking me is, can you see the lasers? And no, you can't see shit. My left eye also started to lose focus and went completely blurry after a few seconds. I'm not sure why that was happening. That was actually really disconcerting. Apparently you can close your other eye if you want to, if you'd rather just see nothing throughout. The surgeon said that was okay, but I found that when I did it, I felt it like it was putting a lot more pressure on the eye that was being jammed open, so I decided just to keep it open. This only went on for about 15 seconds. I know this for a fact because they got me to count backwards in my head during, I think, to distract me or something, I don't know. Then they raised the laser back up and took the horrible thing off my face. To my great relief, my right eye started working again like straight away as soon as they took the laser off it. So, I mean, it was blurry as fuck, but at least it was proof that I wasn't blind, so that was nice. Then they did the left eye straight away, and yeah, the monocle thing is definitely the worst part of the whole process, because it felt like they were trying to jam the bloody thing into the holes in my skull. So that was unpleasant. You can, if you really want to, they told me, space the surgery out. So you could have one eye done, then come back a week later and have the other eye done. But I thought, just get them both out of the way at the same time. I mean, I'm going to be in pain either way. And can you imagine going a week with one eye in focus and one eye out? It'd be terrible. Then when that bit was done, they gave me what was called waveform treatment, which apparently really helps with getting perfect vision when you're done. That's another thing to look out for when you're shopping around for this sort of thing. If they don't mention waveform treatment or they want to charge you extra for it, they're probably not doing it right. This also involved keeping my eyes jammed open, but this time they used like a clamp device, and I just couldn't resist mentioning to them that if they started playing Beethoven's Fifth, I was just going to freak out. And God bless her, the doctor actually got the reference. That was the point where I did see something being shined in my eyes. I'm not sure if it was a less powerful laser or just like a strong red light. Then she dropped like copious amounts of what looked and felt like milk in my eyes, while she sort of rubbed them with this tiny little instrument. I wasn't entirely sure what was going on. I couldn't feel shit, obviously, because of the anesthetic, but it looked weird. It was like someone was, you know those window cleaners where they rub the stuff on and they go, it kind of looked like that! On my eyes! Then I was done. I mean, I had to stick around a bit longer for the regular optician to have a quick look at my eyes, but then I was free to go home with my little party bag full of thousands of drops I had to put in the next week. All in all, pain-wise, I would put it about on par with a particularly nasty trip to the dentist. I mean, it's no worse than that, but it's sure as fuck not a fun activity for the whole family. If you're very squeamish about your eyes, if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I can't even put drops in, no way you're going to get through this, okay? Just make friends with your glasses, because you're going to be wearing them your whole life. In regards to the recovery process, I'm not going to lie, the first 6 hours or so were pretty rough. I mean, I was super sensitive to light again, and my eyes just burnt like hell. I do know in hindsight, though, that I may have made the whole process a bit worse for myself than it absolutely had to be. They gave me this sample of, I think it was the same anesthetic that they used during the surgery, and they said I could use it as much as I want within the first 24 hours, and that really helped. It was like, oh, blessed relief. But the downside was, it only lasted for about half an hour, and they only gave me these 2 tiny little capsules of it. So because I didn't know how long the bad pain was going to last, I was trying to ration this shit out. So I would just sort of... It took the pain away for about half an hour, and then I just lived with the pain for about an hour before I used it again. And because it got so much better after about 6 hours, I ended up only going through about half of the stuff. So I think my main advice to anyone who's going to have this surgery done is just go nuts on the anesthetic in the first 24 hours. Don't bother trying to power through anything, because you'll recover fast. And so you don't have to live with the pain in the meantime. I got a pretty nasty shock the first time I looked in a mirror because I was sporting full-on Book Voldemort eyes. I'll show you a picture, but it's kind of creepy looking, so if you don't want to see it, look away in 3, 2, 1... Yeah, that shit's nasty, huh? Okay, it's safe to look back. My eyes improved really rapidly over the next few days. I mean, I was told I was safe to drive by the next day, and I was up to full-on 20/20 vision the day after that. The only thing that's really lingering now, 2 weeks later, is extended computer use can dry my eyes out and make my eyes quite sore quite quickly, which is annoying because that's like my entire life, you know, but I'm powering through that. I mean, it's worse when my eyes are tired anyway, so quite late at night and quite early in the morning, my eyes are more sore than they would have been before the surgery, but it's not, you know, too bad. Also, if I'm driving at night, sometimes the headlights of the other cars have this weird sort of halo look to them, like this whole Technicolor thing going on. So that's weird, but it's not too distracting, so it's not unsafe or anything like that. The optician said that should clear up quite soon. I had to put a lot of drops in my eyes in the first week. I had anti-inflammatory, anti-infection, like soothing ones, and I had like different drops to the left eye and the right eye, and I had to put them in every 3 hours on the dot, pretty much. And I was also supposed to keep them in the fridge, so like an entire shelf of my fridge was just full of eye drops, which was a bit bizarre. But by far the most annoying thing about the recovery is the stupid plastic eye shields that I had to tape to my face every night. As you can see, I never really got the hang of that. So yeah, that was my LASIK experience, at least so far. Like I said, if any of you beautiful watchers are considering having this done, and there's anything that you'd like to ask me that I didn't cover here, please feel free to ask in the comments and I'll try and answer as best I can. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see what I did there, next time.